I can't answer that, Bruce, but it did appear for Japan. And Bartz is guaranteed to appear on a banner because of his awakening. So, chances are good that Butts' Glint will appear on the next festival. Okay. We got Alara, USB 2. It's not her USB 1, but I do like her USB 2, in addition to her USB 1. Because sometimes there's this weird valley where you can have too many soul breaks, or too many soul break points to give to Alara. With her USB 2, it makes a whole lot more sense to just feed her infinite amount of soul break points. Because that helps her to use her USB 1 and USB 2 together. Alara's USB 2 is an instant cure Augmedica, and critical damage plus 50% to the entire party. That sounds like it needs to be comboed with some things, but it does give her quick cast for 15 seconds, which I suppose is fine. I'm not sure how useful it is to use this by itself. It's kind of, if you're going to use it on just by itself without the USB 1, you're definitely going to want a source of high critical chance in the entire party, which would be Cloud, Tyro USB 4. You know what? Orlando. Kind of continuing the holy theme. They would be pretty good together. But I guess my personal like of the relic would be because I use Onion Knight on basically all of my physical teams. So being able to entrust extra to Alara just so she can get off that critical damage 50% to kind of combo with Onion Knight's USB would be nice. Because you could just cast this once and then go back to just casting USB 1 a bunch. Because all you're really looking for is that critical damage 50%. And the quick cast too, I suppose. But it was... A lot of people are probably broken up about Tyra's USB 4 not being together with Alara's because they are obviously meant to go together. The critical damage 50% plus Tyro's ability to critical chance 100%. Pretty good. No, it does not stack with stuff like Zack's Gem. It is the exact same buff. The critical damage plus 50%. So, that's Alara's USB 2. It's definitely a support of support, which kind of makes it a strange get. Next would be Cecil's USB 3, which is 10 single target, physical holy, last stand of the party. Finally, Cecil does something useful. Knight 30% boost. So it's not a rank boost, it's just straight up 30%. Just kind of weird. Why don't you just give him Unholy? Brave mode. I like his Brave mode, which is 1, 3, 5, 7. Depending on your Brave charge, you start out with 2 Brave charges. So if you use this Brave mode immediately, it would be 5 hits and a 200 or 2000 HP stock. But if you just use 1 Knight ability, you move up to 7 hits and a 4000 HP stock to the party. That's pretty nice. And even though it's not Unholy, it's still fine because its 30% is close to 50%. But what makes that okay is because Cecil, I believe on this banner... Oh, he doesn't. Doesn't have his LMR2, which I believe is Start the Battle with Unholy. That and his USB 3 together, I would actually be a big fan of that. Instead, you're going to have to use something like his Glint to give him Unholy to go with it. Which is fine, because the Glint is good. 2000 HP stock to the party, and Unholy is nice, because let's, you know, think of this in the context of using it in a fight. You'll want to use his Glint first to provide HP stock 2000 to the party, and Unholy, and then cast his USB 3, and by the time you cast the USB 3, use a Knight ability to get up to your highest Brave for 4000 HP stock. You're obviously going to have used the 2000 already. So I think his USB 3 and his Glint 1 go together really well. By itself, kinda on theme for Cecil, in which he doesn't do a whole lot of damage, but is very paladin-y. I don't know, I'm okay with it. It is so much better than anything Paladin Cecil has gotten up into this point, so. Alright, next would be, wow, that's an ornate harp. Edward's Chain. It has a very interesting Generation 2 chain. It deviates very slightly, but necessarily, from the rest of the Generation 2 chains, is that it is 150, just like the rest, 50% field effect, just like the rest, but instead of being 50% single stat, it's 30% dual stat, because holy magical teams are both magical and mind-based. So it's nice, because if it was 50% magic, it would Shanghai white mages, and if it was 50% mind, then people like Hope and Sid Reigns would be left out in the cold. And Rydia 2, and Alphino. So Edward's Chain is, as well as being Edward being one of the better supports. Well, I guess there's a lot of good supports now, because they get stuff like this. DNA, I forget when the first one came about. I think it was Ramza, I want to say? Ramza's ability to start the battle with instant cast and full ATB. One of those LMRs for supports was just awesome, because it's awesome for, just great for a support to be able to do that. Edward being able to quick cast 3 at the start of the fight and be a support 5, have a chain, is really good. And you know what's a nice thing about Edward's Chain is that on a lot of physical teams, a lot of magical chains, like say Red 13s, they completely lose the effect of the buff. That's not so on a physical team for Edward, because mind plus 30% for a healer, especially a healer like Rosa with her USB 2, but in global terms, Alara with her USB gain a lot of benefit from having a mind 30% buff. Because extra healing, like our characters, because Health Boon is such an awesome passive for Magicites, our characters frequently exceed 10,000 health. It may not show that on the party screen, but after all the effects that we give them over the course of the fight, because of health boons and stuff, they do get up to, you know, over 10,000 health, and Kiraga Medicas just don't do the job anymore. Mind 30% for physical teams is good. So, that's a cool thing to note. Ramza's Chain is on the banner. Obviously, because he is also a support 5, because he does have that LMR. Unfortunately, is not on the banner, is it? Nope. But I did just mention it. The start battle with full ATB and instant cast makes him a good support. And he is a great chain holder. So, 2 holy chains. It's probably one of the best places to get holy chains. Because you rarely see 2. Edward's chain did show up on the chain banner for Japan, but since it's not one of the 2 debuts of Steiner and Irvin's Realm chains, that means these are all subject to change, so don't count on this being here, but I think it's safe to say that a holy chain will appear, but that's still only 1. So if you're really, like, kind of feeling it and are desperate for a holy chain, you think it's going to be necessary for you, then this is probably one of the best places to pick it up. But that is preparing for future content, maybe a little prematurely, so I would be wary of going down that route. Okay, 2 additions to this banner, because Tyro's USB 3 or USB 4 was taken off and a 6-star was added, is Celeste's Arcane, which is probably one of the worst arcanes in the game at the moment. It'll get better as of 4th anniversary when she gets an ice on her USB 2 and the ability to an ice with a LMR 2. But right now her only an element is her BSB 1, which is, you know, not all that great in a lot of situations, so Celeste's damage output is kind of limited. It's helped out a lot by her glint, which is on this banner. It's in 4th anniversary, so our glint got added to the festival banner as well, which is instant 100% crit chance and high quick cast 2. It's obviously meant to be used with her arcade. So you use this the turn before or 2 turns before using her arcane, and that is one way to increase the damage output of it a lot, as well as reduce the cast time of it. It would be really nice to have that in Torment or any Magicite fight where you don't have any quick cast buffs. So that does help her arcane a lot. But her arcane alone, I'm speaking from experience, is pretty poor. But it has the potential to be better with her glint, and in the future festival she gets things that make it much better. And Edward's USB. I did talk about that briefly. No, I didn't. Well, Edward's USB is an Onion Knight magical USB downgrade, but not by much. Because it's not like Edward can make use of the magical USB-ness of the Onion Knight effect anyway. It's man, I don't have that anywhere. I'm gonna have to go to Enleers. Magic resistance mine 30% and grants haste to the party and magical quick cast 2. Differs from Onion Knight's very, very little, which is Onion Knight's is magical quick cast 3 and also grants him Sage mode. What's kind of neat is that, yeah, it looks like magical quick cast 2 is a downgrade, but because it's not the same effect, it stacks. The magical quick cast 2 will stack with Allegro Con Moto. So you could use this and then use Allegro Con Moto the turn after and stack them together. I know it's not that great to stack quick cast, but 2 just plain old quick cast stacked together is still pretty decent, especially for using soul breaks. So that could be pretty good, especially if you line it up. Like you use Edward's USB on first turn, then Allegro Con Moto 1 turn after, and then you'll have probably like 1 turn on people of double magical quick cast. Hopefully you can cast their USBs on, or whatever, their soul breaks on that turn to make them almost instantaneous. That would be nice. Anyway, I like Edward's USB. There's a lot of better options outside of the Torment because of Onion Knight. He just kind of breaks things. But it is kind of nice to have something like this on Edward because he can start the battle casting this and then I was going to say Wrath up because, like, let's say you have his LMR. So you start the battle, Mako Might, you cast his USB, then use the 2 remaining quick cast charges to Wrath, and then, I don't know. Maybe I'm reaching. Just gonna say, then try to cast his chain. I don't know, man. It's a lot to ask from a single character. And waiting until turn 4, or even 5, if the 2 Rads aren't enough to cast his chain, is probably a damage loss you don't want to suffer. It would probably be better to use his chain and someone with another Heiska instead. Yeah. I tried to make your USB work outside of Magicite, or outside of Torment, Edward. Couldn't do it. But inside the Torment, his USB is actually really good, because there's not a whole lot of options for buffing support in Final Fantasy IV. So it's still good. Okay, someone's lighting off fireworks here, apparently. Merry Christmas. Okay, so we got through the 6 stars. Let's move on. We have Alara's Glint, which is an instant Cure Medica. I guess it's an emergency 250 soul break point heal. There aren't going to be a whole lot of situations where this is useful, because all of her medicas are instantaneous anyway. But they do cost 250 more soul break points. I guess it could buy you a turn while you're waiting for an entrust to use a USB. There's probably some niche situations where this could be good. And you kind of, I guess you would kind of have to be put in those situations to realize that it's useful in them. I don't know. Not like not a power pickup, but it does increase her capabilities. And that's what kind of bothers me a little bit about Alara's things here, because this is not all that powerful on its own, where with Alara's USB 1, that's all you need. You're done. Alara's BSB, again, not that powerful on its own, but if you have her US or something else, then it's great because it gives her the ability to cast Last Stand with something. I've used it a few times myself in certain fights. Alright, well, that's Alara's Glint. You can make up your own mind about that one. Already talked about Cecil Glint. I like it. The Unholy's nice. HP stock is nice. And I guess that's probably because Cecil doesn't have Unholy himself. Well, I mean, on any other character, this wouldn't be that good because their stuff would already be good enough. But these two together can actually be pretty powerful. Cecil can put out some decent damage with 30% Night boosts and Unholy and 25% chance to dual cast. Could be decent. Yeah, I don't know, Kevin. I tried. Alara's BSB, again, not all that great by itself, but good with the main centerpiece of Alara's toolkit, which is her USB 1. Cecil LMR 3, obviously good. Edward LMR 2, awesome. Alara LMR, 25% chance of basic medic after using a Bard ability. It's actually pretty good. I spam Bard abilities on Alara on a few fights, and it is proven to be pretty decent. So I'm okay with it. And in those fights, I'm rarely using white magic abilities anyway. So it's not like a 35% chance to dual cast are good in those fights. I have found some usefulness in this LMR that I didn't think I would, so it's pretty decent. But not, again, like everything else. But that's par for the course for LMRs anyway. I'm not gonna rag on it. I was gonna say, well, it needs other things. Well, of course it does. It's an LMR. You know, I'm not that crazy about this banner. It's single themed and single element, which is nice. That's always good because you know where your deficiencies are, and if your deficiency is holy damage, then you look for banners like this. My issue with it is, one, holy damage isn't a point of emphasis right now. Oh, in addition, something I didn't mention is Celeste's 25% chance to dual cast Spellblades is on this banner. There are no holy Spellblades, so it's not really on theme, but it's still a good LMR because Celeste is a good character. My issue with this banner is that it's kind of chains or bust. There's a lot of stuff here that isn't powerful enough in my eyes. Edward's USB is really good in the Torment. Okay. The 2 chains, obviously really good. Celeste Arcane, I'll stay away from that. Could be good for future investment, but is that really strong enough to pull on? I want, you know, the stuff that's at the top of the banner, the headliners, to be good on their own. And Alara's USB 2 isn't that. Even Cecil's USB isn't that. It's not, the stuff isn't strong enough. It's all got something wrong with it in some way. Except for the 2 chains. It's really just dangling a carrot in front of the faces of all the people that need holy, or want holy chains. Which is tantalizing fruit. But is it enough? 3 months out from 4th anniversary. Is it enough? The banner did take a huge hit by losing Tyro's USB 4, because with Tyro's USB 4 on the banner, all of a sudden Alara's USB 2 becomes much better. So it is nice that this is Phase 3, because if you do pull on Phase 1, and that's a big if, because you may not like Phase 1, and get Tyro's USB 4, then it improves at least Alara's USB 2, which improves a lot of the other stuff on the banner as a result. I think this is the weakest banner so far. How does everyone else feel? Yeah, Kevin. Like, that in so many different ways was such a powerful thing for my account to get. To save mithril expenditure in the future. The value of it, just insane. I'm still in shock. Yeah, I can agree with that. Kind of, the banner pretty much needed Tyro. Like, if you do have the things, like Alara's USB 1 and Cecil's LMR 2, which is Start the Battle with Unholy, it does improve some of the stuff that you're seeing here. Like, Cecil's USB 3 becomes pretty good with his LMR 2. Andrew is absolutely correct.